So today we are going to learn, we're going to review combining integers. So as we combine integers, we're going to learn about the scoreboard strategy. Now, the scoreboard strategy is referring to any one of the sports that you like. So let's say the Sterling Bearcats have 14 points in football and the Humboldt Wildcats have 7 points in football. So the question here would be who wins and by how many points? So we know that Sterling Bearcats are going to win because they have more points. But how many points are they going to win by? In order to figure that out, I'm going to have to subtract 14 minus 7. Okay, so let's talk about integers in terms of teams. So we have the negative team and we have the positive team. So let's say that the Sterling Bearcats are going to be the negative team and the Humboldt Wildcats are going to be the positive team. So that means the Sterling Bearcats have 14 points and the Humboldt Wildcats have 7 points. So if I wrote that in expression, it would be negative 14. And I'm combining this, which means adding, and 7 points is on the for the positive team. So this would be negative 14 plus 7. Well, we know that the negative team is going to win because they have more points. How many points would they win by? To figure that out, I'm going to have to subtract 14 minus 7, and I get negative 7. All right, we're going to use this strategy for several problems we're going to practice together. And let's start with negative 52 plus 14. So when you draw the scoreboard strategy, I'm just going to set it up like a T-chart. 52 is the number of points that the negative team has, so I put that on the negative side. And 14 is the number of points that the positive team has. So here I have 52 and 14. To figure out my answer, I'm going to first look at who wins this game. Well, the negative team has to win because they have more points. And then how many points do they win by? I have to subtract 52 minus 14. And I get 38, so my answer is negative 38. Well, number 2 is a subtraction problem. When we have subtraction, we are going to have an extra step. So we're going to circle each number and any signs that come before it up to the next number. So I'm going to start on the right, and I have to circle the sign up until the next number. So I have 2 numbers circled. All right, so 15 has no sign before it, so we're going to assume that it's a positive. And even though this is a subtraction sign, we are going to look at this as if it was a negative sign because minus 22 is the same thing as negative 22. So we're going to put 22 on the negative side. So who wins this game? The negative team still has more points, so my answer is going to be negative. And how many points are they going to win by? I'm going to subtract 22 minus 15, and I get 7. So my answer for number 2 is negative 7. Set up your scoreboard. I have 35 plus negative 12. Well, 35 points is for the positive team, and I have negative 12, so that means that I'm going to have 12 for the negative team. Which team won this game? Well, the positive team has more points, so that tells me that my answer has to be positive. So then I subtract to figure out how much they won by. 35 minus 12 gives me 23, so my answer is positive 23. Now this one is subtraction, so once again we have to circle our terms. So just like we did here, we have to circle the number and any of the signs that come before it up until the next number. So here I'm going to circle up to my next number, and then I'm going to circle my next number. So that's going to help me figure out what to do. Well, we have a special case here because anytime I have 2 negatives in the same box, we call that a double negative, and a double negative, I'm going to change them both to positive. I'm going to change them both to positive. So 13 is a positive number, and 4 is now positive because I had 2 negatives in there. So this basically means that the positive team scored 13 points and then the positive team scored 4 points. Well, if they scored all the points, then the negative team cannot possibly win because they have no points. So I have to add the number of points that the positive team got to figure out how many they won by. So 13 plus 4 is 17. I have 17 points, and it has to be positive because all of my points are for the positive team. All right, number 5 is negative 13 plus negative 29. So once again, the scoreboard strategy. and 13 points is for the negative team, and then 29 is also for the negative team. So the positive team cannot possibly win because they have no points. It's like they forfeited the game. So if they're on the same side here, we're going to add them together to figure out how many points they won. So 9 and 3. So I know my number is 42, but the positive team couldn't possibly win because they have no points. So it is the negative 42. And the last one we're going to do together, it's again subtraction, and since it's subtraction, I have to circle my number and all of the signs up until the next number. So here I have negative 12, and then I have that double negative again. And if there's double negatives, we're going to cross those out and make both of them positive. So 12 is a negative number, and since both of these are positive now, 20 is also a positive. Well, if they're on opposite sides, I have to figure out how many points they won by. So which team won? Well, positive team has more points, and I subtract to figure out how many they won by. 20 minus 12 is 8. Okay, I'd like to see you practice the scoreboard strategy now, and these are the problems that I would like you to try at home. Don't forget to use a scoreboard strategy. Okay, so when you turn these in, when you write these in your notes, you should have the scoreboard strategy for each of them. Okay, and don't forget, when it's a double negative, you have an extra step, and subtraction, you have to circle your terms. So there's a couple extra things to remember here.